This video is for anyone who suffers from ongoing knee problems. At the end of the day, you're going to know exactly what you need to do to build the strength back up in that knee, to get the range of motion back within the joint that has since disappeared, and to build the confidence up so that you can get back to some of the activities that you enjoy doing, but you've since had to give up because of knee pain. This routine goes for 15 minutes. We've got 9 different exercises that we're going to work through, each one going for 45 seconds of work with a 15-second rest in between. Equipment-wise, you just need a band, something that you can tie up into a loop, and a chair or a stool that you can anchor this to. To get the full benefit of this workout, you want to do this at least twice per week. And bonus points if you complete 2 or even 3 laps of this routine. That's where the real magic starts to happen. So with that in mind, grab your band, grab your drink bottle and chair, get yourself set up, and let's rip roar into it. All right, we're going to start in 15 seconds time. In preparation, throw the band around the leg of a chair or a stool. Otherwise, we're going to lay down on our back. We're going to pop our feet up onto a chair, and we're going to kick things off with the hip lift. All right, so with this hip lift, what I want you thinking about is drive through the heels. You need to feel it in the hamstrings as you lift your hips up off the ground. Now I want you to try and get yourself into a straight line from your knees through to your short shoulders. So the torso, the hips are opening right up. But the other thing I want you thinking about is I want you tucking your tail down between the legs. So as you're coming up, don't arch at the back. You're keeping your midline engaged. Now this can be done on the side of the couch, chair, doesn't really matter, but you're going to be noticing it through the hamstrings and the glutes, and these play a critical part in knee health. Right, so now we're going to get up on our feet, and we're just going to be going for a bit of a side lunge. So start with one leg, and what we're going to do is we're going to take a big step out to the side, and we're going to drive off this leg to bring that foot back in. So you're going to step out, back up. Now something I want you paying attention to is have a look at the line of my thigh. It's pointing in the direction of my toe. Super important. So step out and in. If you're not that confident with the knee, start with smaller steps and build your way up. Now something I want you looking at is as I'm doing this, I'm loading up by going back with the hip, and I'm driving that hip forward. Hip goes back. I don't want you leaning all the way forward, and I still want the knee coming slightly forward, but I need you feeling that weight going through the heel. All right, now we're going to stay on this leg. We're going to do exactly the same, but now we're going to do a step back lunge. Exactly the same. So with this in mind, we're going to take that big step back and drive through the heel. Step back and forward. And if you're okay with that, take bigger steps. So I want you working your way as far back as you feel comfortable. But again, you'll notice while the knee's coming forward, my heel's not lifting off the ground. That's okay. And I need to make sure that my thigh is pointing in the direction of my toe. So big step back and step forward. So we like to do it all on one side first, and then we'll swap over. All right, so now we're going to repeat that side lunge into back lunge off the other side. So exactly the same off the other side. Now, even though this may not be the problem knee, that's okay. Something that you want to think about is balance between the sides is hugely important. So it doesn't matter, even though this may not be your problem leg, you still need to train it. Some of us are actually needed in both knees, need to do this work in both knees. But for those of us that have one bad knee and one good knee, don't ignore the good knee, because what you'll find is that throughout the course of the day, you're going to be doing a lot of compensatory type movements to get around working your problematic knee. And so it'll only be a matter of time before things manifest in your good side as well. So that's why we need to make sure we're firing up and using the correct musculature on our good side as well as our not so good side. All right, so same deal again. Step back lunges with that same side. And again, depending on where the confidence is, step back as far as you feel comfortable. Recognizing the further you step back, the deeper you will get into this lunge. All right, so again, what are we thinking about? We're thinking about driving through our heel. We're thinking about trying to keep our torso from going too far forward. We're not hinging forward, we're still keeping relatively upright. But drive through that heel and make sure that knee is pointing where your toes are pointing. So in the same direction. All right, so the next exercise, what I'm going to do is now we're going to incorporate the bands. So the first one I want to do is a leg curl. So you'll need a second thing that you can sit down to. But all we're doing from here is pulling this knee in. Now, depending on the type of problem that you have in the knee, like whether it's arthritis or whether where the knee pain is, what I do know is that a lot of people do not engage their hamstrings enough. And this is just teaching the hamstrings to fire up. So don't be surprised if here is all you can get to at the start, and by the end you're finding you're able to get a few inches deeper. Pay attention to those things, because there's a little saying, that which you wish to improve has to be measured. So keep pulling that in, getting as deep into it as possible. And then what we're going to do now is where I like to switch bands to something a little bit more solid. We're going on the same leg, but step in, loop the band round and put it round the toes. And now we're going to do a leg extension. A leg extension, which is exactly the same movement pattern as our leg curl, but the fundamental difference here being is now the work comes in as we're pushing away as opposed to pulling in. Now, I really prefer these banded type movements as to what the leg curls and the leg extensions at the gym. Don't do those. The reason being is the way the force is applied is extremely different. When you do a leg extension at the gym, you've got the padding pushing the knee down. This band isn't pushing the knee down, it's trying to pull the foot back. So it's still working the quad, but the fundamental difference is that we don't have this shearing force being applied through the knee. All right, so that's one side done. So now step back, get your band back in, and we'll work on our good side. All right, or if it's not your good side, you started with your good side. Or if you don't have any good sides, let's call them both good sides. But anyway, just work on that range. And pay attention to the difference you see between the left and the right side. Now, I can't guarantee that you'll ever reclaim that full range of motion within the knee, but what you want to be doing is trying to bridge the gap between the sides as much as possible. So this one here, this is my non-dominant side, but it's also the side in which I've got a relatively healthy knee. And the range of motion is monstrously different. But by the end of each session, I notice that this one really starts to catch up. And that's what you want to see. You want to see improvement immediately. Like you should walk away from this session feeling like your knee is feeling better. Because if it's not feeling better at the end of this workout, my advice would be, don't do it. Don't do this workout. And get some advice or some professional help on it, because there might be something that needs a little bit more close attention. But for those that are suffering from ongoing chronic knee pain, this is one of the best routines you can do. In fact, it's the best that I've found going around. I've worked with quite a number of physiotherapists in this space, and they're it's the duck's guts of knee routines. All right, so same deal again. Drive it out. You should start to feel that muscle in the middle of the thigh there. That's called your vastus medialis, and it plays a very important part in your kneecap and how it moves. So we need to make sure that we're really squeezing that VMO, the vastus medialis. It's doing its work. All right, so now we're going to get up on our feet. We're going to band it again. So we're going to step in. Now, it doesn't necessarily matter which side you're going to be working to, but what we're going to be doing is some adduction. And so all I'm looking for here is just bringing those feet together. Bringing the feet together. Again, standing up nice and tall. If you need something to support yourself with, that's completely okay. Get hold of something. But otherwise, if you're able to go unassisted, there's a lot of good stabilization that's happening through this leg that's on the ground. It's not just the adductor muscles that you're going to be feeling this in. So that's the muscles on the inside of the thigh. There's also this whole host of stabilization through the glutes, through the VMO that's happening on this dominant, on this support leg side. So we've got about 5 seconds to go. Just keep moving through. All right, so now we're doing exactly the same, but we're doing a thing called abduction. Abduction. So we just simply turn around and face the other way. And so the process, you need to get a little bit closer to that anchor point and just pulling that knee out. So pulling that foot out. Same process, so from a side-on perspective, you can just see that I'm trying not to accommodate the movement too much with the torso. I'm going to really let this drive through your abductors, your abductors. So we're just keeping nice and tall. Again, that support leg is having to do a ton of work just to hold us stable, as well as feeling it through the outside of the thigh, outside, yeah, so anywhere from the butt cheek here, potentially through more to the front of the hip. That's quite common, as well as in the support leg. And relax down. Now we're going to do adduction. Adduction means basically adding. We're adding it in. So we're doing adduction where we're adding this foot into the line of our body. So same process again. All right, so just pull that heel in and out, keeping that leg straight. So adjust the tension so that you're feeling like, yep, at the end range, it's quite challenging. And as I was saying before, I really do prefer these bands. It sounds crazy, but give me these bands over a $2,000 or a $3,000 machine any day of the week. These bands you can get for $5, $10 at the most. But what's really powerful with them is what we call accommodating resistance. Where you are your strongest, that's where you're getting the most challenge. So the further you pull the band, the greater the tension. And that's that accommodating resistance is incredible for developing strength. Right, so same deal again. What we're going to be doing is we're going from our adduction to our abduction, abduction. So again, just pulling it out, keeping nice and tall, keep that leg straight. And again, don't be surprised if you're feeling it in the support leg, like this is having to contribute to that abduction, all right? So while this foot doesn't look like it's moving, the fact that it's bracing and allowing this leg to push out, it's going to feel it just as much as this leg moving. All right, so again, we'll just keep moving. We've got about 15 seconds to go. Try and keep as stable as possible. That's it, 5 seconds left. Yep. And relax down. Okay, our second last exercise. What we're going to be doing is a thing called box squats. All right, so this is simulating when you sit down and you stand up. Now, believe it or not, you do this a lot throughout the course of the day. We need to make sure you're doing it correctly. So what we're looking for, I want your feet somewhere between hip width and shoulder width apart. You need to make sure your toes are somewhere between somewhere between 12 o'clock and maybe no more than 10 o'clock and 2 o'clock. But as you sit down, I want you to make sure your thighs are pointing in the direction of your toes. And when we sit down, we drop, we go hips back, and then we travel down. Push through the heels as we stand up. Hips back and down, drive those hips forward as we stand up. So we're really trying to engage our glutes when we squat. We want to squeeze through the glutes, through the hamstrings, also drive through the quads. All right, that's 45 seconds. Now we're going to be going for our final exercise. So with this exercise, we're going to be doing alternating step-ups. Adjust the height. If this is a bit high, you can always go a little bit lower. But all we're doing from here, super important, I need you to drive through that heel that's on the box. Step up, step down, switch legs. Now we want to avoid rocking into it. Try and activate, drive through that heel, stand up and step back down. So again, just alternate it through. I don't want you getting too competitive with how many reps you're doing. I want you thinking about quality of movement. Try and take that rock and momentum out of it. Now, if you've enjoyed this workout, please give it the thumbs up and hit the subscribe button. It does tell me so much about the type of stuff you want me to put out there, because I want to make sure the stuff I'm putting out is helpful and beneficial. So if you did enjoy it, you want to see more of this, thumbs up, subscribe, but hit this up at least 2 times a week, guys, and you will notice such a big difference with that knee and what it can do. Go out, enjoy the rest of your day, and thanks for joining me.